is it? Blankman?
Rewind.
It's rewind time. It's the meeting of the three mediocre minds that make up KCIM Sports Rewind. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn there, am I?
No, I think you're giving us too much credit when you say mediocre.
Could be. We'll find out with the trivia question here coming up. But, all right, check this out here on KCIM Sports Rewind.
This for college basketball history. She does it with a foul shot. Caitlin Clark becomes the all-time leading scorer in major college basketball history.
Oh, she did it. Broke Pistol Pete's record the other day. Did it on a foul shot, which is going to lead me to something we did last week for the first time. My least favorite sports person of the week. Yeah, I'm going to say it's Lisa Bluter, Iowa women's basketball coach. Do you know why?
No. Because she had her shoot the technical free throws?
Yes. Who wanted to see her break the record with a free throw?
Yeah.
I mean, you wanted to see a logo three, didn't you?
Anticlimactic.
It really kind of was when it came down to it.
Really thought you were going to say Kim Mulkey. Did you see what Kim Mulkey had to say after she did it?
No.
Gave her praise for it.
Right.
Gave her praise, but talked about how Pistol Pete's record, is above everybody else's, and really said that we shouldn't compare men and women scoring and stuff like that. Yeah.
Get lost. I mean, it's a fun thing to talk about,
It is, and I think we get too frustrated with each other. You got to remember she works at LSU and coaches there, which is where Pistol Pete played, and stuff like that. And I didn't hear what she said, so I'm certainly not defending her at all. But my guess is that she probably felt that she needed to come to the defense of him and his family and what he was able to accomplish. I think one of the great things that's happened with Caitlin breaking that record is the fact that we now can take a step back and look and see what Pistol Pete accomplished. Wasn't allowed to play as a freshman under NCAA rules. Averaged 44 points a game for 3 years.
With no shot clock.
With no shot clock and no three-point line. So I think a lot of the younger generation that maybe had no idea who Pistol Pete is and what he was able to do now have learned a little bit about him due to what Caitlin Clark has been able to accomplish.
And I think what Pistol Pete's accomplished has been crazy, but somebody actually broke it down. And Caitlin Clark's played in more games, but she shot the ball less than all of Pistol Pete's career.
Right.
And then then to me, she shoots the ball less per game and has less attempts so far. Now I think eventually, if they keep winning, she'll have more shot attempts than he will. But
I guarantee you that she had way more assists because Pete didn't give up the ball.
No, actually he did.
Did he?
He did. He was an extremely good passer.
He was a great ball handler. I remember that. He was a marvel with a basketball.
Yeah.
I remember that.
You go back and watch some of his highlight stuff, and he was a tremendous passer. The only other thing I'll throw out with that, and I'm not trying to get into the whole thing, but somebody from LSU posted a thing that somebody went back and watched all 83 games of his career.
I was going to mention
figured it out. If there was a three-point line with what it is today, he'd average, 50.7 points per game in his career. Scoring would have been over 4,600. And again, that's not trying to take anything away. I've said all year long, Caitlin Clark, if not the greatest women's basketball player of all time, is certainly in that argument. But I think it also, again, for younger people, go back and YouTube Pistol Pete and learn about one of the most amazing players that's probably ever played the game of basketball.
Also, by the way, he didn't play his freshman year. They weren't allowed to play. He played for his dad, but they said if he were allowed, he could have scored over 6,000 points in his career. So, he was incredible. But you got to marvel at Caitlin Clark, man. It's just this woman is changing the face of basketball for women totally in this country, and it's fantastic.
She's the Steph Curry, in a way, of what he did in the NBA with his ability to hit, logo threes and the deep threes, and what Golden State did during their run of winning, NBA championships. They changed the game. The three-point line has become a bigger part of the game because of what Golden State did and Steph Curry did, and now she's doing the same thing with the women's game.
Just the celebrities that came out and watched.
Oh, yeah.
Watched watched.
Most people probably don't know who Travis Scott is.
I was going to mention him. I wasn't sure if you knew.
I knew Travis Scott.
I had to look him up.
Travis Scott was out there. Jake from State Farm, Maya Moore, Nolan Ryan.
Here's the sad thing. I knew Jake from State Farm right away, but I didn't know Travis Scott at all.
Well, John, I wouldn't suspect you or Jeff to know who Travis Scott was.
I know who Travis Scott is. Yeah, I'm up with what's going on today.
Look at you being all hip and with the kids these days, man.
Absolutely,
Nolan Ryan. I love
Nolan
the guy.
Ryan
He just said he was
there.
I heard all about her, had to come see it.
Absolutely.
He had no other connection to Caitlin Clark or the Iowa basketball team other than just, I want to see this incredible athlete.
Yep, absolutely.
I do love Nike's promotion afterwards. When she broke the women's scoring record, it was like, you broke it, you own it. That was a great T-shirt. But this was no long shot. They put her picture up on the side of a building,
right?
And she's shooting a basketball, and a couple of buildings and blocks away was the hoop.
That's
said,
cool.
This is no long shot, and it was just an incredible visual by Nike.
Yeah. And again, the state of girls basketball in Iowa at the high school level and the youth level has been struggling for years as far as getting numbers. And I've said it before. I give Joe Burks credit for posting the picture of her with Audie Crooks, but I've said it for a couple of years now. I hope that Caitlin can rebuild what we've lost in girls basketball and get the younger kids excited about the game. And she's been able to do that. Yes,
in participation.
And I think we see that maybe with the amount of girls teams that came to the Court Classic here in Carroll. Probably the most teams, I think, girls-wise, that they've ever had. So.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, though. So,
but like you, I wish she wouldn't have broke it from the free throw line. I mean, if it's a pull-up jumper in traffic, different.
That's fine. Any other way to break it. If it was during play, that would have been really, really cool.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the technical foul that sent her to the free throw line?
Yes.
No, I did not.
It was. I saw it, but it shouldn't have.
It wasn't.
Shouldn't have been.
Okay.
No.
What? So
I can't exactly remember how it happened, but.
A player, she bumped into a player.
She bumped into Cody McMahon of Ohio State and kind of flopped backwards.
Okay.
And I'm an Iowa fan,
right?
So I mean, it wasn't a technical foul, but she got so much hate on social media for it, and I had one thing to say about it. Every other player does that, but because she's Caitlin Clark, everybody picks it apart.
Yep. That's the one thing that Caitlin's got to deal with, and I'm sure this is why she's turning pro.
Right.
She's sick and tired of dealing with all this stuff that she's set apart and held to a different standard, honestly, than almost every other player out there.
Yeah.
She complains about a call. It's, look at her whine and whatever. I'm sorry, but even high school kids right there, they're like, give me the call, give me the call.
I've had that conversation just this last Friday with two of my area high school coaches about how I'd like to see the high school game go back to you have to raise your hand when you get called for a foul, because nothing as an announcer or just a fan of the game of basketball frustrates me more, to be honest, than watching high school age kids react negatively towards an official after getting called for a foul or a travel or whatever it is. It's you did it, accept it, move on.
I don't think it's as high as you think it is.
No, I know it.
A bonus question here. How much money are the Denver Broncos going to have to pay Russell Wilson to not play for them?
$85 million. $85 million. The biggest ever.
Over 2 seasons, $39 million in 1 year. So we'll save that other answer till a little bit later on in the show.
Okay.
So there you go. There's a quick rundown of just stuff off the top of our heads here. What do we want to start with? All Rewind team. We're going to start with the You name it.
Well, we've got boys basketball on the top, unless you guys rearranged things when I handed them out. So let's just start there. And we'll start off with honorable mention, and I'll start from the bottom of that list, and we can each do a school and then slide through. So I'm going to go with Lane Sams from IKM Manning.
I'll go with Audubon and Austin Christensen and Aaron Olson.
From Peyton Chardant, Trevin Keeley.
From Glidden Ralston, Charles Schoen and Colby Wallace.
Also honorable mention from Coon Rapids Baird, Caden Oswald.
Arweva's Wyatt Ray Gallard.
South Central Calhoun's Andrew Anderson.
Also from ESAC, Caleb Eichhorn.
From Carroll, Peyton Wardell, Caden Lingling, and Jared Moore.
And from the Kemper Knights, Tragan Biter, Jack Bading, and Carter Putney.
All right, we're going to move on. We have a third team, second team, and a first team. We're going to start with the third team, and we'll start with South Central Calhoun's Keegan Soward.
Kemper's Michael Kasperbauer.
We'll go on to Glidden Ralston now, and Jonathan Bergmeyer.
Arweva, Emmett Newman.
Rounding out the third team from East Sac County, Sam Julin and Luke Wright.
We'll move on to second team now, and Blaine Smith from the Arweva Rockets named to the second team.
From the IKM Manning second team, Ross Kusel and Ben Ramsey.
From Coon Rapids Baird, Cade Behrens.
From South Central Calhoun, Cole Higgins.
And from the Audubon Wheelers, rounding out the second team, is Edward Miller.
Moving on to first team, we will have Cal Hayden from Coon Rapids Baird.
Go ahead and talk just briefly about him.
I mean, Cal, what's not to say? Only a sophomore. I mean, last year put up 20, this year put up 20. I think one thing that really jumps out, they had him play more post this year.
Yep.
And, you kind of wondered going into the season how that would adjust. But, he did it fine. I mean, how many games did we type up where he had, 20 and 10, 20 and 11? Right. Just a tremendous player for him. It was really their spark on offense.
First teamer as a sophomore, and we haven't scratched the surface yet of the potential.
I was going to say, this is the territory where you're thinking, this kid is so young and so good already.
Yep.
What are the next 2 years going to be like when he improves even more?
Fun. It's going to be fun.
Fun to broadcast and fun to play, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So we'll move on now. Evan Hammer of the Carroll Tigers. This guy's been elite all season long. Mid-range jumper is almost automatic. The fadeaway jumper is almost automatic. I don't know if anybody plays with more energy on both ends of the floor or more passion. Absolutely. Did everything for them. Led them in assist, led them in scoring, led them in rebounding. Just a tremendous year, and wish he had a year left, but this was his senior campaign.
For the Carroll Tigers, I got 2 words for him. The man.
Yes.
He was the man for the Carroll Tigers. From East Sac County, Ryan Clare.
What's not to say about Ryan, too? I mean, I'm going to tell you, every single one of the guys on our first team are tremendous, as they should be. But Ryan, I think, if we gave out a most improved player, Ryan's got to be that guy. I mean, he went from coming off the bench, averaged just over 10 points a game last year to almost 20 and, well over a double-double. Was terrific in the paint. Really a big part of the reason why East Sac, I think, had a lot of success this year. I
told him after one of my broadcasts of their games this year that I really enjoy watching him play the game. I would pay to go watch Ryan Clare play the game of basketball.
You heard it. Everybody from South Central Calhoun and all that. Jeff's going to pay from here on out, and Ryan Clare at East Sac, and start charging him.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks a lot, John.
Moving on through the first team, we got Gavin Betta, South Central Calhoun. Really, I think a kid that took on a big leadership role this year. SCC lost a lot of seniors from last year's team. Kind of rocky start to the season, started 0-3, and talking with Clive throughout the year. Gavin really stepped up and was their spoken leader. I think early in the season when they were struggling on offense, he had quite a few 30-point games, was really the guy that they had to look for on the offensive end, and a guy that could come down the floor and stop and pop it, could drive to the hoop, could really score at all 3 levels. So Gavin had a great senior season.
Absolutely, yeah, and tremendous job of taking a team that started 0-3 and kind of being that leader to get them to where they were at the end of the year, where they were a top 10 team, probably top 12 team by the end of the season. A couple of Kemper Knights, Brock Bading, if not the best shooter in the history of Kemper, and maybe the best shooter in the state of Iowa. The kid has just absolutely got, range, dead eye from out there, and once he gets going, all it takes is one to go down, and he can finish with 7 or 8. Became the single season makes record for threes in a season for Kemper this year, and just a tremendous shooter. And then Carson Canny, I think the heart and soul of Kemper on both ends of the floor, can really defend, but he can score more, but he knows he's got so many weapons, and he sets those guys up, and he's kind of the motor to me that makes that Kemper team as good as what they've been. So Carson Canny, Kenny, of course, one of our first teamers along with Brock Bading.
Let's talk about some of the individual awards. You added this year, didn't you? Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah.
Explain why.
Well, I'll let Casey.
I thought it was just a really good idea. You see, most colleges do it. The NBA does it. And they honor somebody that comes off the bench and just does a tremendous job, for their team. And I think that this year we had some really, especially on the girls' side, we had some really good players come off the bench, and I think on the boys' side as well. And so I thought that it'd be just a nice, because these are probably kids that were going to be invited anyways,
right?
Mm-hmm. So I thought that that would just be a good idea to give them a little more recognition, because they might not get in the scoring column all that much, but what they do off the bench just really helps their team win.
Those guys make a difference for sure. I love it. I love the addition of the Sixth Man of the Year award. It is Sixth Man of the Year, Jack Bading from Kemper.
Yeah, special year for him. Didn't get to play early in the season due to injury and stuff, but once he got healthy and started seeing the floor, he became an instant impact guy and was crucial for them, I think, in their run, to get into that sub-state final. I'm
a kid that can create a shot no matter where he's out on the court. Yep. He's small, he's quick, and like you mentioned, Jack didn't get to play the whole season, so this guy could have been the limit this year, but yeah, Jack's a really special player.
How about Player of the Year? Those in contention were from Coon Rapids Bayard, Cal Hayton; from South Central Calhoun, Gavin Batta; from Evan Hammer from the Carroll Tigers in contention for Player of the Year. But the Player of the Year, the man Jeff Blankman will pay to watch, Ryan Clare of East Sac County.
Yeah, and we have a group of people, I'm not going to name them all, but a group of people to get together and break this down. I will admit we discussed all of those guys, but the vote for everybody. There wasn't one person that didn't vote Ryan Clare our Player of the Year this year. And I think a lot of it was just the consistency that he had, night in and night out. You just marked a double down for him every single night.
Was Ryan a senior?
No, just a sophomore.
Wow.
We got 2 more years. Him and Cal Hayden as sophomores going to be really fun over the next couple of years.
That will be kind of a fun battle between the two of them, see what level they can take their game to. Let's talk Coach of the Year. Those in contention, of course, outstanding season for the Raiders and head coach Todd Bontrager, also Clive Clark. South Central Calhoun nearly pulled the upset in the playoffs for Kemper Knights.
Yep.
Corey Meyer, always from Coon Rapids Bayard, one of the great coaches in the state of Iowa, honestly. But the Coach of the Year, of course, Sean Menahan of the Kemper Knights.
Yeah, special year. I don't think everybody realizes the fact that they dealt with injuries early in the year, illnesses early in the year. Jack Bading didn't play early in the year. DJ Vanami only played up to Christmas. They lost Evan Adams to an injury and surgery during football season. So this team wasn't the team that everybody kind of thought after last year's run to state that they would have. And they still had a special year and still contended in the conference and still had a terrific year, having to kind of revamp everything late.
They had to completely do things different this year. Talking to Minahan before the season, people were like, well, are they going to be able to play without a big man? If they're running up and down the court all the time, they're going to get tired. But, Kemper's got tremendous athletes that they can throw out there off the bench, especially in that starting 5. Carter Putney props off to him, having to completely change positions, 2 weeks before the start of the season, and it props to him. He did a great job, and I think everybody out there, just for Kemper, kind of changing their style that they were used to probably playing. I think Kemper likes to run anyways, but they had to run a lot more this year without having a big man.
And had to change defenses. Let's move on, John, to the girls.
Got to get this moving on here. So I'm going to mention the all-honorable team, and then we'll just take third team and second team as individuals. So I'm going to announce all of the honorable mention girls for the Rewind team. From Exira Elkhorn Kimballton Audubon, Caden Sporer. How about Aliva Smith from Peyton Sherdan? From the IKEA Manning Wolves, it's Taylor Beckendorf. Arweva has Delaney Shirkey and Gabrielle Hundling on the honorable mention. South Central Calhoun, honorable mention for Brenna McAllister and Mia Babcock. And from Coon Rapids Bayard, it's Aubrey Hoffbauer on honorable mention.
We'll move on now. I'll take all of the third team. From the Kemper Knights, Kaylee Simons and Lauren Bell. From the Carroll Tigers, Chloe Cook. From South Central Calhoun, Bree Patterson. From Glen Ralston, Cassidy Wink. And from the East Sac Raiders, McKenna Steiger.
The second team is Franny Glenn from Kemper, Olivia Rowetter from Carroll, Tyler Jansen of Glidden Ralston, Anna Stengel of IK Manning, and then from East Sac, Kendall Cork and Sarah Bontrager.
All right, we're down to the first team here once again. Here's the starters once again. Addison Eiler from East Sac.
And Addison, tremendous year. Probably one of the most aggressive rebounders that we have in the area. I thought her offense improved as the season went on, and it was fun watching her play as a junior.
As you mentioned, game 1 to game 2, completely different.
Yeah, when we talked about Evan Hammer being the man for Carroll High, the girls' team for Carroll, it was Caitlin Aiden.
Yeah.
I mean, Caitlin, just a terrific defender. She's got her length, did a great job on the defensive end as well, being the main scoring option for Carroll this year.
How about Elsa Tiefenthaler of the Kemper Knights?
Fun to watch her growth from a freshman to a sophomore. Had a really good freshman year. This year had to play a point guard role, which was different. I thought she improved on it as the season and become a leader, and she did a great job with that. I'm going to be fun to watch her over the next couple of years.
How about 3 members of the Coon Rapids Baird Crusaders on the first team? We're talking Breely Clayberg, Malia Clayberg, and Anna Hart.
Jumble all 3 of them together. I mean, just terrific players. Those are the 3 that really kept Coon going this year, and the reason why they almost made a state trip.
Yeah, made it to the regional final. All great defensive players and can score as well.
And all of them coming back next year? Or they
Breely graduated. The other 2 just sophomores. Yep.
So still a good core coming back for Coon Rapids Baird. So that is the first team. Sixth-man player of the year, Kaylee Simons of Kemper.
What's not to say?
Yeah,
she's great.
There was times she came off the bench and maybe was the best player on the court, and stuff. She was such a spark plug on both ends of the floor. Got a really nice jump shot, plays extremely well on the defensive end. If you've ever seen her play volleyball and the way she hustles and dives all over the floor, it's no different in basketball.
How about Player of the Year for girls basketball? In contention, Elsa Tiefenthaler of the Kemper Knights and Breely Clayberg of the Coon Rapids Baird Crusaders. But our Player of the Year for KCIM Sports Rewind, Malia Clayberg of Coon Rapids Baird.
Did everything extremely well for them this year. Rebounds, plays defense, can score. I think Caitlin McAllister, her coach, said it best when she told me that she said to her after the season, you work on that jump shot a little bit and you're going to become deadly. I don't think anybody's going to want to try to stop her as she continues to grow as a player, and she'll put in the work because she's just that type of a kid.
One thing that we when we went down and did picture days, I remember Caitlin telling us that Malia is going to be a major problem this year.
Yep.
And she was.
Yes.
In a good way. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. The team struggled to defend her.
Yeah, how about Coach of the Year? Again, in contention from the Carroll Tigers, Katie Cook did an outstanding job. Jason Phillips with East Sac County. But our Coach of the Year, and I'm sensing a theme here, from the Coon Rapids Baird Crusaders, Caitlin McAllister.
Just a great season. I mean, for the first 21 season in over 10 years that they had this year. So, you got to give them props. And a lot of the girls coming back next year from a team that's just slowly, last year they were a game away from regional final. This year they made a regional final. So, just Caitlin keeps putting in the work and doing a great job with this team.
2 of the 3 top players, the Coach of the Year, and 3 members on the all-first team. Wow. That's a season for Coon Rapids Baird there.
Yes, it is.
That is the basketball end of things. We're going to talk about wrestling, boys and girls, the All Rewind team, coming up after this.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
KCIM Sports Rewind. You're in, of course, checking out the All Rewind team. And, Jeff, you've got the All-Star festivities coming up on Sunday. You want to really quick recap what you got going on there?
This coming Sunday, doors will open out of the Carroll High School gym at noon with the event getting underway at 12:20. We're going to play a senior girls and boys mixed together All-Star game. We're going to play for probably about 12 minutes of continuous clock. We only have 8 seniors that are going to be playing this year. Then we'll have a dodgeball tournament for all of the wrestlers. We'll do a best 2 of 3 3 in matches. We're going to have about a 15-minute warm-up for a 3-point shooting contest to allow the basketball kids and wrestling kids that want to participate a chance to go out and get a few shots in ahead of time. Then we'll have our 3-point shooting contest. Following that, we'll have our award ceremony, and here's the order. We're going to do boys wrestling, girls basketball, boys basketball, and then girls wrestling. We try to rotate these things every season so that, sometimes people don't like having to go last, but, if you went first in the last season, you get moved to the backside this time. So.
My question is, which wrestler is going to win the 3-point contest this year?
I don't know. Jaden Sword did it a couple of years ago. So, it's always interesting with the 3-point shooting contest.
There's been precedent set.
There has.
All right, let's talk about the boys 2024 All Rewind team in wrestling. And we're going to start. We have a second team and a first team that we're going to mention here. From the second team, I'll start here. Zach Trott of South Central Calhoun.
From Kemper, Caleb Huffman, and then also Tate Barrett.
From Coon Rapids Bayard, Johnny Cortez.
From the Carroll Tigers, Kieran Polking.
And then 2 from Audubon, Alex Hansen, and then Lane Elmquist.
We'll move on to the first team, Brock Natras from South Central Calhoun. Special for him to finish on the podium as a senior this year down at the state wrestling tournament, bringing home an 8th place finish and had an outstanding year.
Kemper Knights placed 2 members on the first team. That is Jake Earlbeck and Bryce Wiskus.
I think both the senior leaders for this team this year, both of them had a chance to make it to the Saturday down there at state, but just fell short. I think Bryce really improved on a lot of people kind of figured what he was going to do this year, but had a great run down at state. And same with Jake. Jake, I think a 2-time qualifier, so did a great job as well.
We'll move on now to East Sac County. 2 wrestlers as well. Braden Burns, who picked up his 150th career win and did that at the state tournament, so that was cool. Just about made Saturday. Charlie Veit gets to Saturday and finishes up in 7th place. We talked, I think, last week about all the injuries that young guy had to deal with this year, so congrats to both of those guys on great seasons.
How about the Carroll Tigers? 5 members on the first team, and I'll just list off the names here. You guys can chat a bit about it. Quentin Polking, Chase Regaler, Owen Clucky, Cooper Ludwig, and Cale Nelson.
You looked at Carroll throughout the year, and when we typed them up, those were the 5 names that really got them going this year, especially Kieran on the second team. I mean, you sent 8 kids to the state tournament out of 14 weight classes, and, I just go back to when they were doing at the district qualifying meet, going into that second half of the meet, they had 12 of the 14 kids still alive for a chance to go to state. I think it's a tremendous season. Yeah. It's every single one of those kids. I mean, Kayla 4-time state qualifier. Cooper's been down there 3 years. Owen now 2 years. Chase his first year. So it's been a great season for him.
Fun guys to be able to talk to as well. So appreciated all they did for us down at the state tournament.
How about Wrestler of the Year? Let's name this. In contention, Brock Natras of South Central Calhoun and Cooper Ludwig of the Carroll Tigers. But Wrestler of the Year for KCIM Sports Rewind, Charlie Veit of East Sac County.
Yeah, again, you look at the fact that needed shoulder surgery before the season and fought through that all year long to do what he did, then injured the knee late in the year and still being able to fight through, hardly being able to walk down at the state tournament to get himself onto the podium. Just a tremendous season and a great young man as well.
Mm-hmm. I know Cooper Ludwig also fighting through a lot of injuries to do all that stuff as well.
Yeah, and great young man with him as well. Just had a fun interview as he signed to wrestle. Yes, at Cornell.
I ran into his mom the other day. I said, "Where is Cornell?" I had no idea. It's in Mount Pleasant.
Yes.
So. A Coach of the Year. How about in contention, East Sac County's Chaps Wilkie, for the Kemper Knights, Shane Vaughn. But I'll tell you what, I think this program's on the verge of really just busting out statewide. The Carroll Tigers, Eric Noggle, our Coach of the Year.
And I think the biggest thing I'm going to say, and I know Casey will have a few things to say as well, is that he has created a family there with the wrestling program. You talk to a lot of the kids, and they'll tell you that he cares more about them as a person than he does as a wrestler. He's trying to develop young men and prepare them for life outside of high school and life outside. And he cares about them. You can tell he gives me a hard time because, we did the recap interview for Saturday morning on Friday after state wrestling wrapped up for them, and he broke down in tears and stuff, but that was just the care that he has for all of those kids.
I think the minute you step into that wrestling room with Eric, it's nothing but love.
Yep.
Eric was a coach of mine for football, and I was never good. But Eric cared about you no matter what.
Yep. But we make the best broadcasters.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we do.
Bad players.
You know, and if you really question on how much he cares, I encourage you to go back and listen to I think a couple weeks ago, Coach's show. You know, you know, he's breaking down in tears, crying about how much, and he names every single one of the kids, and to send 8 kids down, you know, ties the school record. It's just tremendous.
Yep. You guys are making him sound like a complete softie. I mean, come on. He's a football and a wrestling coach.
He's a teddy bear, man.
He's got an edge. He's got an edge. All right, we got to move on to the girls' all rewind team here. Second team from South Central Calhoun, Courtney King and help me out here.
Mia Heffley.
Mia, M-E-I-A. All right.
Yes. From the Kemper Knights, Kyra Walterman.
From East Sac County, Olivia Mack.
From the sorry.
Go ahead.
So from the Carroll Tigers, Sunny McGowan and Emma Grossman.
And from the Audubon Wheelers, Laura McCarville.
We'll jump to first team, and we'll start with South Central Calhoun's Evelyn Kramer. You know, what a terrific senior season for her.
Yep.
I don't think quite finished the way she wanted to down at state, but, you know, when you can win more games, a lot more matches, I should say, than you lose, you know, just a tremendous season for her, and I think she's going to do great things at BV.
I do, too. Yeah, great young lady. We'll talk a little bit more about her later on.
Kemper Knights, Sadie Smith and Grace Huffman.
2 special wrestlers. Grace battled a knee injury this year and ended up fighting her way through to get down to state and pick up some wins. And, you know, she had that big brace on, and everybody knew that the knee was bothering her, and still was able to get wins and fight through what people were trying to do to her there. And then Sadie Smith, you could tell after Christmas that her confidence rose, and she became one of the elite wrestlers in our area that second half of the season. I think a lot of that was just starting to believe in herself.
East Sac County, Jamie Pierce. You know, what's not to say? Somebody that did not go out at the beginning of the season. I think finishes
and had never wrestled.
Nope. Yeah, finishes 6-3 and qualifies for this. Like finishes the regular season 6-3 and qualifies for the state tournament. I think went down like 11-6 overall record this year. So yeah, a great story. You know, I would. Jeff never put out the interviews, but you go back and listen to her interview. You know, she talks about Braden Burns,
right?
You know, just helping her out and encouraging her. You know, working with her throughout you know the process to get her ready.
Yeah, special young lady if you get to know her.
From the Carroll Tigers, count them 5 again on the all first team. Julia Canny, Avery Burke. Also, Brianna Kiger, Chloe Jones, and Emma Daniels.
Special group, all terrific young ladies, all fun to talk to, all really work really hard in the wrestling room and want to be good. Julia Caney, for a second year in a row, finished higher than any other girl that we had down at the state wrestling tournament, and it's just I call her kind of a quiet assassin. Doesn't say much, just goes out and kind of takes you apart on the mat. Avery Burke just wrestles aggressive and loves it. I think wrestling fit exactly what Avery likes to do. Brianna Kiger, another kind of quiet wrestler that I think's got a great future in front of her and had a tremendous year. Chloe Jones went out this year, and you know, you'd hope she was going to make state, and she pushed for it, but just didn't quite get there, but had a great year. And then Emma Daniels, for a second straight year, put together a heck of a season and did a really nice job down at the state tournament.
I look at Emma, only a sophomore, you know, did a great job, qualified last year. Julia, kind of the heart and soul of that team this year. You know, I think back-to-back years finishing 12th, just exactly. Avery, you know, what's not to say? Avery, just a tremendous girl for Carroll. Somebody that probably could have done a lot better, but got hurt, you know, halfway through the season. So, you know, but still wrestled great and, you know, able to fight back and qualify for a state bid. You know, Brianna, I never really got to talk to her, but like Jeff said, you know, she's kind of a quiet person, wrestled really well, kind of you know, somebody I don't think a lot of people thought would be there this year. Right. You know, at times was their best wrestler this season. Yep. And then, you know, Chloe did a great job. You know, she's a terrific softball player too, you know, qualified last year.
I tell you, I just saw the push notification that you put out. So
yes, they're all going to start popping out here in the next couple of moments. So.
This is for the girls. How about our Wrestler of the Year in contention from the Carroll Tigers, Avery Burke and Julia Canny, but our Wrestler of the Year, Evelyn Kramer of South Central Calhoun.
She's so smart out on the mat. She'll figure out how to beat you. It doesn't matter the style you wrestle. She's going to find a way to be able to get done what she needs to get done, and just had a tremendous year. And I think the future for her is so bright. I think she's just scratched the surface of what she's capable of doing on the wrestling mats.
How about Coach of the Year? Jeff King in contention from South Central Calhoun, but our Coach of the Year, Carroll Tigers, Samantha Vanami.
Back-to-back years. What she's done the last 2 years of this Carroll Tiger program and just in general girls wrestling in the area, it has shot up, and I think she's got a lot of credit for that because of how she coaches these girls. They took 4 girls, I believe, down to state. So what she's done with that program in year 2 is tremendous.
And that program's just going to continue to get better.
Yeah, that Carroll Tiger program has really taken off and starting to make a big name for itself on the wrestling scene. So, again, Rewind All-Star festivities this Sunday. Doors open at
noon. Event will get underway at about 12:20. And, again, we're going to have a quick basketball All-Star game for the senior basketball players that want to play. Then we'll have a dodgeball tournament for all the wrestlers. 3-point shooting contest for the basketball players and wrestlers, girls on one end, boys on the other. The winners of those will have a shoot-off to give us an overall champion, and then we'll have the award ceremony.
All right, sounds good. So, again, it's absolutely free for anybody who wants to come on by, and it's always a good crowd that comes out for that one. So, trivia question. Russell Wilson was let go by the Denver Broncos. He was the heir apparent to Peyton Manning. 2015 is when he left. How many different starting quarterbacks did the Denver Broncos have between Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson?
I'm going to throw out just a huge guess here. 7.
No, 7 is not correct.
I think it's 6.
Nope, 6 is not correct.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
8.
Higher?
Nope, higher.
Oh, I don't know.
11?
Higher.
13?
13.
13? Holy
How about
cow.
extra credit if you can name any of them?
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock, yeah.
Paxton Lynch, Trevor Simeon.
Wow, look at him. He came prepared, man.
Tim Tebow, or was he before?
No, he was before
Peyton Manning, yeah.
How about Joe Flacco was in there for a little
Flacco would have been one.
forgot,
Case Keenum.
Case Keenum, Brock Osweiler,
Yep.
Trevor Simeon, Brett Rippin,
Yeah.
Jeff Driscoll. So it's
God, that's a laundry.
Yeah.
That's a laundry list of the reasons why I don't watch a lot of NFL.
And the guy they just wanted and drooled over, they're going to pay him $39 million this year to sit home and watch him.
$85 million in total they're paying him the next 2 years.
Yep, there it is. KCIM Sports Rewind for this week. Thanks for joining us. We'll get your podcast available on the website and the mobile app coming up here in just minutes.